Brain can't make it go up, right? Brain can't make it.
People keep on here.
Well, that's funny. How do I mute?
Oh, no, never mind, never mind.
Oh, we got one there. It's already recording. All right, are we time? Who's there? You're almost about to see anybody there. Three participants.
One of them, Shannon.
Mike. And us.
And who's the other one?
Mike and us.
Click on it.
The only attendee is Shannon.
Okay. All right, we'll call the meeting to order at 2 o'clock. Do a quick roll call. I'm the chair. Paul Lands, the mayor.
Marjorie Morgenstern, council member.
Kevin Thompson, city manager.
Chris Parker, chief of police.
Rick Montaney, public works director.
Susie Holmes, finance director.
Perfect, all right. Public comments, public may speak on any item not listed on the agenda at this time. There is no public. Does anyone else in here have a comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of minutes from February 11th and March 11th. Anyone will make that motion?
I'd like to make that motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Anyone against? Motion passes. Moving into our business items, finance, city hall holiday closure proposal. Hey, you screw around. I think you learned it.
Alright, so I was hoping that we could discuss, Wednesday, June 19th, which is, Juneteenth. It's a federal holiday, most of all the banks, post office, that everything are closed. Most people assume that we're closed, so it's a very, very slow day here for us. And it would just be a great way for our employees to be able to take the day off, using their vacation, of course, because it's not a holiday that we observe. But since it's typically slow, we are hoping to close that day. And then on July 3rd, July 4th falls on Friday, which is an already city hall closure day. There's only 3 people up front, and so if we're trying to find a way for everybody to take the day off, or we have to pay them out the holiday pay. So we were hoping that we could just close on Thursday, July 3rd for the 4th of July weekend.
I think all of that makes perfect sense, and I think people deserve a 4-day weekend, especially for the.
Well, then you're paying holiday pay for a day they're not, so either way.
Yeah.
I would just ask that we put it out to the public.
For sure.
Mike, can you hear us?
Michael, can I?
Yes, we'll put some flyers out for that.
Perfect, just make sure it's posted online and on doors and stuff, so that people know we're gonna be observing on that day.
And we always,
Days,
yeah, we always do the front door, but we will make sure. Work with Mike, put it on the website too.
perfect.
Great.
That it on that one?
That's it on that one for me.
AREN program discussion?
Okay, so this one, Bayren, we currently have a contract with Bayren where any single family homeowner who is in good standing with the city and have like a toilet fixed or a shower head replaced or something along those lines. As long as it will pay for itself within the 10, as long as it pays for itself within 10 years, then they will do it. So here's the problem that we ran into. We have 10 customers that have participated in the past 2 years. The total cost of everything was $2,144. So we have about $200 each, right? And then, but then the fees that these homeowners are paying are $560. So it's like a quarter of it is fees that they're paying. So the total amount that's being paid over 10 years on each invoice, it ranges between 17 cents and $7.85. So
The thing was, it's paid back through the water savings.
yes.
So you save 100 gallons a month, it's 17 cents, that pays for the toilet. It would be more effective if we had we do either get a grant money just to do the direct, toilet exchange, work with a local plumber. Maybe put it on the bill, something like that. It's just a lot of paperwork for what we're getting.
Yeah, and also you can't say, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna pay it off. Nope, it has to stay with that, with that utility bill for
Wow.
10 years, even if you sell
Yeah,
that
because they want their interest money.
one. Yeah,
And the council, when they approved it, was pretty reluctant in terms of the fact that it ran with the property.
Mhm.
So that makes the owners saddled with this
Mhm.
$2 a month or whatever it
It
is.
seems like I remember this what didn't go over well, but there was some. This is when we got all the green buckets and all that stuff, right?
No, that's
This was a different-
I'm not sure if you were on council at that time, but
Okay.
Councilmember Paula was definitely against this.
Okay.
So now, so moving forward, now they want us to go through it and sign a contract to do multifamily. And so staff's recommendation is that we do not, because it's so time intensive. It's not worth the $4.63 that we get for admin fees. And also to cancel the contract that we currently have, we can say we did it for 2 years, and, we helped out the town customers that. But it's just,
This is a program that should be built for the chamber to do, or the Cloverdale build city nonprofits. That's, just like I did someone up with security alarms recently, they were big cameras. And I just send them over there, do your deals through them and get it all online, so I think that's something that the plumber should be doing. It's.
She went to water.
I know, right? She had a drink, all right?
Yeah, I just, sometimes there's like mold in the air conditioner or something. I swear.
So
yeah, so I'm requesting permission to cancel the current contract and
Do you have any
not
problems
move
with that?
forward.
What?
canceling this contract that she's talking about.
Oh, I think if it's a pain, then, if it's not worth it.
It's something that the chamber needs to handle and that local businesses should be doing instead of the city. I get it, if we were a big city and they had a program for this human services kind of thing, and then all this help, but no.
What's it cost here, them 25%,
Right.
that's the other thing,
You're not doing them any favors.
We may have to go to council. I don't know, ask Alex.
If they
I know he reviewed the agreement and said we can get out of it,
Mhm.
so we can do
They
that.
just let it lapse, right? I mean, is it a 2-year contract? Is that what it is?
Then you have,
Oh, okay.
it's until.
Either way, if you have to cancel it, put it on the agenda, yes, do it.
But also no one has participated in the past. For the past year, since 2022.
Gotcha. Hopefully we can just cancel it, it'd be great. And your report?
The only report I have is that we are continuing to work to get Neptune 360. We finalized the merchant agreement, which was the stickler. Now it's gonna take 2 weeks from that point. And then we have meetings scheduled next week to go through and try to see it in action. So we're getting close.
Thinking like a June 1 kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm thinking, I want to say July 1st, just to be safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm thinking June.
Awesome. Great, thank you. Any questions? Any needs this?
No,
Moving on. There's nobody in the public mic, can't see anything, so
That's correct.
perfect, keep moving. Boys and Girls Club property acquisition.
Yeah, I can take this as, I think every council member's done a tour and other people, price is too high. It's still at 1.4 million and, we did go to closed session to discuss this and we offered, a much lower amount for the community benefit, and that offer was rejected. So I think, my recommendation is we wait. Sit on it. I mean, I don't think there's gonna be any potential purchasers of the site and try again.
Oh, we don't even put the city in a hard spot, so it is what it is, and we can push in other ways, but I don't think you're gonna have find a buyer either. But great,
I'm in agreement, and I think, it would cost a lot to fix that building up. It's got major issues.
unless we get it cheap, it's not the best use of our city funds right now. Very cheap. Great. Okay, community development department report.
I mean, I can take that one. We're still working on a couple development applications, one at the Zanzi property, and there's been some first round of comments. They haven't responded to those yet. That is, so if you know where Second Street Park is, so just south of that, you can't really see this parcel, but there's a really big parcel back there.
Oh, behind the church, you said?
Yeah, behind the church. So
Yeah.
there's someone wanting to put housing there. And then there's another more of a tire kicker, which is Christopherson Homes, which is a pretty reputable builder in this county. Looking at the Angeli property, and I had a couple meetings with them, haven't heard from them in a while, so I'll keep you up to date on that. 101 North, again, I met with the owner, I don't really know, I mean, he's promised me that he's submitting plans, I've heard otherwise, maybe that's not happening, but I'm on, and he was in the office last week, and I really was talking to him about it, so I will continue to pressure him and tell him, and then another idea from a couple of different council members was, can we do something with that fence to make it look nicer, maybe put something, banners or upcoming events, things like that, so he's open to that, so more to come on that. I think that's it. There's a project called Vista Oaks, which happened before you were here, Marjorie. It's up on a hill, it's a subdivision. Kind of going up Vista View, you can kind of see it from here, and
Across the street from Hamburger Ranch.
there's
Okay.
an entrance to go up there, and they want to put fancy houses up there. It's approved to do so, but there's a lot of upfront costs, so no one's really been interested, but apparently someone's calling about it now. Could be another tire kicker. It seems the upfront things that we put into the conditions of approval are so expensive, I can't see how, well, anyway, I'm not sure, but there is some interest in it. I'll keep you guys up to date on that.
Any news from Devon at all?
Yeah, they extended the diligence time. So that was a big deal. It took a lot of meetings and a lot of reassuring between the city and other people, and she did get it. So they're going full steam ahead on their sequel work, which is the environmental. They've hired a consultant that we recommended called First Carbon. They've done a lot of work in town. They're really good. So we have a meeting tomorrow, kind of a kickoff meeting. Well, it's expensive. I saw the proposal from First Carbon. We don't pay any of that.
Yeah, they pay.
Yeah, they pay everything. So it's positive.
That's great.
Unless anyone's got any questions, I'll just leave it there.
Okay, great. I think for anyone else, move on to the next one. Police personnel update.
So our staffing is still the same. We do have, I did disqualify one person from background today. But for our last administrative meeting, we put the additional guy into background, so he's taken into that slot.
Sweet, see? Good work.
Yeah. And so we'll see how that goes.
Finally got one right.
Yeah.
Take the win where you can get it.
So we're still moving forward on the others.
Great. Great. Any questions, comments?
Bo was back, right?
Bo is
Yes.
back by duty. And he's, right now, he's at supervisor training.
Perfect.
It's a 2-week course, so started yesterday.
Great. Good to do it while on light duty as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So I expect him to be back May-ish.
Run your animal control.
Animal control, so the contract is up this year. Mark was gonna be here, but he had to fly out, today, he couldn't make it. So we can invite him back to talk about the contract, or services. I have stats here for you guys. And that should go back to, I think, 2021, 2022. So it outlines all the calls they get, the intake of the different animals, the cases they deal with. They've been dealing with some ongoing barking dog complaints. And so it's not in their contract, but they do come out Fridays and weekends, we can call them. And he does want to extend the contract. He gave us it was like 5-year, 10-year. I said, I'm not doing the 10-year. It's just too long. The service, they provide a good service. They do dead animals, they do all the licensing for dogs. There has been a drop off in licensing for dogs. I told them about that, for licensing animals. We don't get any money from that. They do all the tags, notices, and fees for licensing animals. They take all that. One of the main service that they do is, they pick up obviously stray dogs or cats or whatever. They house them. If they have, any injuries, they pay for the vet bills, expensive that can get. And dog bite investigations. Not necessarily, about a dog on dog, not necessarily dog on dog, but biting a human. They will investigate those, and quarantine dogs, they have to, and evaluate them for being vicious.
How much is it, chief?
The contract, so it's 3,000 a month. Yeah, I don't know. It's a 5-year contract, so I don't know what the total was over the entire. But they're looking at, 5% increase, where kind of what he was talking to me about, the owner. He does want to change, because there's language in here that they do education training. They just don't have the staff to do that. He wants to change that. They'll still provide the truck that comes out and does, you saw them at the dog park. They still do that, and they come out to our -9 out, and do that stuff. They are getting into doing more spay and neuter stuff. So he wants to offer those services, really ramp that up and bring a couple out here. So I haven't had any issues with them. The main complaint I get, which is a concern for me, is that they're all away in Pelham. Someone loses their dog, or we find the dog, they come and pick it up. The person who lost the dog has to go to Pelham to get it.
Right.
Not that that's a bad thing, because they lost their dog, their loved one. But it's just a distance part of it. So we've been bouncing around the idea of him taking over a spot in Public Works. He's been looking like the storefront, because he does in Katati, he has a store that you walk in and, people donate stuff to the store, but there's no prices on anything.
Mhm.
You just donate whatever you can, and it goes to pay for adopting dogs. So, very good, successful. I have to know time I do, because I just think it's a weird model,
Yeah.
You're not paying anything, everything goes towards, that, and, you got rent and all that stuff, but he says it's doing well. They're only open like 1 day a week. I think he expanded to two now. But he was looking at doing something like that here, so I've been showing him around, walking him around. And then, if you got a place in town, reduce our costs.
There's that new
I lost
empty
it.
space next to Ray's where the antique store moved out.
Oh, yeah, and I just pointed them right across from the police department, the old, out there.
Any idea on how many hours the count of calls are? How many hours?
I don't know, our staff on the call or, so one of the things that I wanted to address, in our next contract would be, is when they come in the city, they check in. When they leave the city, they check out. We don't have, there's no way for us to track that because we transfer, someone calls, hey, I need animal services, whatever they need, we transfer the call to them and they handle it. We don't, I mean, it doesn't come back to us, they handled it.
Right.
In here, they're supposed to be responding within 60 minutes. We don't know, they did or did not.
Right.
It only gets back to us, they handle the call, well,
Right, that's what I was thinking, I was looking at, like, okay, 922 calls, but how many hours were spent over time for that money?
yeah, I don't know if he could figure that out, but, I could ask him on that. But, I mean, so if you want to continue this contract, I think it's worthwhile. If you don't, I'd have to look at alternatives like, because we used to house the dogs at the local vet. A few years ago, they told us they're not doing that anymore, so we need to look at some other location to do that. And then who would do that? So,
Dead animal claims is big for public works.
is that what you're?
We would like.
Yeah,
to-
you guys used to pick all those animals up.
Yeah, we have no place to house dead animals, we have no means of picking them up, so that does help.
Yeah, you have to dispose of them in a certain way, you
Yeah.
can't.
We tried this with Teresa at one point, right? And got her license to do all this before me and went back to this model.
Yeah.
Just. in general.
Yeah, so that was,
Not good.
no, it wasn't specifically for this, it was kind of for. She had to go back and do an 832 class, which she never did it before, so we had to send her back to do that in order to write citations. Do some other things, but that did encompass animal control, and then there were a few dog bites, that weren't handled
Gotcha.
that as they should have been,
So
so.
liability is what we're paying for on top of the
Yeah.
basics.
Yeah, and the care for the dogs and everything else, and
And then. With dog barking incidents, we don't have to try to send someone in engineering, public works, or planning out to do the enforcement on that.
And the licensing, we used to try to handle that in-house a little bit.
yeah, we did that too.
Yeah,
I would ask for tracking and accountability. So we know, we can figure out how many hours and see what we're really paying for on that. And I would ask that they try to find somewhere to keep the dogs closer. Because we are a low income community, and it's hard for people to go get their,
Yeah, well,
I get it, we don't want Gary going down and, getting his 2 dogs, there's a reason for it, but most people, accidents happen.
yeah, so, when we find a lost dog, we put it on, we have a Facebook.
Right.
And so, we'll put it on the Facebook to see if we can find somebody before we, sit up, so, let's see. Before we can, find somebody, we'll put it on Facebook, sometimes if people put their hand off, so we'll try and do our part so that the dog doesn't have to go all the way down there.
Yep.
But sometimes, it's just,
They need some on the dog food down here.
That's what I was thinking, that
She's got a
Pet
back
store.
area there.
Right here?
It'd be more income for her. She just held on to dogs for a little while.
the cat, like.
yeah,
one
the new
cat
dog store.
She's got an area in the back where
Yeah,
they
there's
wash
a-
dogs.
Yeah, there's a whole right there. Back.
She split off from
And
that.
if we did find a means to provide them a place to house the dogs, would that result in a discounted rate?
oh, I will push for it.
That's all we ask, is
Yeah.
look for ways to help our community a little more.
Yeah.
More. Thank you. Any questions or anything else?
No, I think it sounds good.
When is that up?
This year. So
Like July first.
Yeah.
Of the fiscal year, or the calendar year?
it's this year. This is July, I think it's when it's, I mean, he'll extend it, but I mean, in the, well,
Well, I'm sure you will, we am.
All right, next is your budget amendment.
okay, I'm gonna go there real quick. You guys questions? Well, I'm out there.
I'm writing down, I'm ready.
Okay. So so I got the Suzie, we put a bunch in one, so we didn't have to go back several times. So there's number one is the budget amendment for the vehicles that we just purchased. In there, I didn't include a budget draft, budget amendment form in the original. It was approved with 10% contingency, but that wasn't in there, so we have to insert that in here.
That was not on the budget, the original budget.
The 10% was on.
Yes, it was approved on the resolution, the wording of it, but it wasn't identified.
But we have money in the budget already, right? So we fund.
Not the 10%.
That's what the transfer, it's not general funds, it's
It's coming
The
from.
replacement fund, right?
the vehicle,
Yeah, exactly.
vehicle impacted. So the second one is, as for the police academy, so Uzi, we put Uzi through the police academy. Obviously, 2 years ago, we couldn't account for that, so we just need to replace $5,000, it's 3,000 some odd dollars for the academy and 1,500 for uniforms. Feel like, $5,000 a pop. So in order to continue training, we have to replace those funds. And the same for 3 is for the additional 2 that I confirmed I got spots for in July. And it's for for those guys going through the academy, to add those funds to there. The
That
fourth
will
one,
be next year,
correct,
so it's 2 separate years. Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
yeah.
That helps
Okay.
Yeah.
a little bit.
So that's one, Axon, long story short, they forgot to bill us, their system messed up and didn't send us an invoice. And so, I mean, current.
Mhm.
Right?
Well, you're gonna get me started. So I'm currently going through, contract negotiations for Axon for their new services. And notice it in their quote to me at the bottom was, you need to pay this one, invoice and this one. Like, if I get an invoice, I pay it.
Yeah.
And so I called their accounting person and long story short, our system has been messed up. It didn't send out some invoices. It looks like that's what happened to you guys.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Uh,
amazing,
how
from 2
much?
years ago.
Yeah,
It's 30 grand behind it.
They really messed up.
Hey, you know what? If you don't get those tasers anymore, you can back them. You're gonna need those ones.
Are those the hammers or the tasers?
It's the tire contract. That includes all that. That's the Axon. That's it.
And it's on the council tomorrow night.
That's all I got.
Well, there's nothing we can do about any of these. They're all necessities.
Exactly.
In the report.
I just think it's so weird that.
Uh,
2 years ago, they
You
didn't
know, all these companies, they're just,
explain.
well, they just don't, they don't care that they're not putting liens on anything. They're not sending the collections. They're just, they invoiced, especially in law enforcement. It's like almost a trust issue that is going to happen. You're gonna need them again. There's not another company to take over.
Ooh,
Motorola.
very upset with Axon.
There's no other options, right?
There are other options,
Are there?
but it's Axon's the
Maybe.
big dog in the house.
Yeah.
And so, right, I just had a meeting with him at 11:30. And he'll be emailed me, because I'm trying to reduce costs. And so we had this Cadillac plan from last time. So our contract's up in September or whatever, next year. So I'm renegotiating that. And so I reduced services and it's more. I'm like, I just lost it. And anyway, long story, it just. And Carlos was sitting right there, listening to me talk. I said, listen to this, because I'm like, let him out.
Yeah.
And, you know, he just, how can you do give us less service and it costs us more money. And I don't understand that. Well, exactly. It's inflation. They don't offer that plan anymore. I said, well, that's not my problem. That's a you problem.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna charge me more for less.
So is this like AT&T where if you cancel services, they'll come back with a new contract, with the new manager, and be like,
Yeah,
hold on, let me get the supervisor.
a 2-year.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I literally.
well, let's explore other options for next time and see if there is anything better.
I am.
And I'm sure you are, and I
I am.
appreciate it.
Yeah, so I talked to, I'll go in our police department report. So I did go to the SCLECA conference over last weekend. And AI is the big thing. It's coming. Which includes report writing and, all kinds of stuff.
Robocops.
It is impressive. And they have these, Paragon, did a presentation for us. Wow, I mean, and Healdsburg's going to it, and these other agencies are going to it, which ties in all our systems, CLETs,
Right.
RIMS, everything we have. They build the program on site. It's really impressive, for example, if I arrest somebody and they got this chainsaw, this system will say, oh, yeah. Officer B did had a stolen chainsaw report with these exact descriptions on it. There's the case number, here's the victim.
No more investigated. It's already there.
It's freaking
Wow.
amazing. Yeah, and if we're going to a call, this thing will pop up on their officer's thing, it'll say, there were guns at this house, we arrested this person with their picture, there's a picture. And it's freaking,
How awesome. That's so.
the future.
But then again, it's also kind of big brother too.
Maybe it is, but if you're a cop and.
Well, yeah.
Knowing the hours I spent collecting this information when I was a cop and read your book as you're driving, trying to find all it.
Yeah.
This is huge.
This
is huge.
It is coming.
Plus, if it gets more criminals, which it would, because a lot of times, like, what was that guy that had that girl trunk while he's driving around and they caught him?
Which one?
The one, oh, the one who had,
Oh, yeah.
Richard L. Davis.
yeah,
Oh.
I mean, if they got all that information, they could have, or at least nailed them sooner.
Yeah, so I'm looking at different, stuff, to come up to present at our next budget meeting.
Great.
And, so that might be one of them. I haven't talked to them about pricing yet.
Yeah.
The price is not bad. I'm looking at different AI report writing services that reduce the time to write. Axon has one, that's a translation service, which will take your body worn camera, all the audio on the body worn camera, and write your report. And then the officer goes back in, and reviews it and adds whatever he needs to. Down the report writing job. At least.
Yeah, that is you.
And then there's another service that I'm looking into that will, actually look at the video and say, yeah, this person wearing a red shirt, blue jeans, car's black, and then it'll write your report for you. And when you go in and add details to it. It's technology is amazing, so, I do have a CRA conference coming up at the end of the month. And look forward to that. Talking about liability. Yes, no, second one.
It's my nickname.
And that's it for me.
Any questions or comments? Take your full report as well?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, well, I made it easy. Always Sophia. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you.
For summer's day.
All right, we'll go into the HR report.
I spoke to Shannon, there's no report.
Okay. City clerk, Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. Just really quickly, want to let you know that we're working with that vendor for CPAC. He's gonna meet with us, with me earlier on Wednesday before the meeting and hang out through the beginning part of the meeting so we can go over all the tech and some of the needs. And he'll probably see firsthand some of the issues we're dealing with. So that'll, with the April 23rd meeting likely canceled, that'll hopefully give us time to purchase and get installed whatever equipment we need, hopefully before May, but we'll see what he says. We also have an, sorry, I don't have this report in front of me. We have a survey out right now. The infrastructure subcommittee requested it. It's out live now on the boulevard. It's going to run through the end of April. And we are also, I've started working on our governance manual. We are in desperate need of an update. And I'll give you more information on that soon, but we are targeting May for a study session where council can actually, we have to go kind of paragraph by paragraph, but it'll be much quicker than probably the last time it happened in 2011. But I'll give you more information on that soon. Just want to let you know that is coming down the pipe on my end.
Thank
That's
you.
all I have.
Questions, comments?
No.
Awesome, thank you, sir. Moving on to your city manager report.
Just one quick thing, you know, we've got our sales tax money is gonna start rolling in here. And I've been promising kind of a report at the council about borrowing money versus, you know, doing it piecemeal. One of the thoughts is, do we wanna wait a couple months? I mean, we can do it as soon as possible, just to true up what our estimates actually are. So that's one thing, and then the other thing is I did get the name of 2 municipal consultants. Oh, I don't know if Greg Isom does the scope, but I can get a scope from those folks and we can review those here. And these were highly recommended, ones in Irvine, ones in San Francisco, and the whole idea is we borrow now, you know, they need to know the cost of construction to some degree, how much construction will go up. Things like, we'll probably have to have some kind of project manager, because if we get all this money at once, we're not gonna be able to get it out quickly the way. So, I'm not really looking for much here other than, I'm probably gonna be seeking scopes from those 2 consultants. And then we'll bring them back here, we can just, you know, it's probably gonna be $10,000 or something, so. That's just the number I'm pulling out, but
You mean to pay them?
to pay them to analyze, it probably does make more sense to wait just to get 2 months worth. We get it every month, is that right, Susan, or?
Quarterly reports. So it depends on, we get payments monthly, but they're estimates and then they true up quarterly.
I mean, I think there probably needs to be a discussion too, because there was other things in the ballot initiative other than streets.
Right.
So do we want to just come up with the number of 70% for streets and then, or I don't know that we want to get that detailed yet, probably not, but at some point we should probably talk about that.
I think we should, if you're asking my opinion, I think we should wait for a full quarter. See how much we're bringing in and kind of get an idea. I know it's going to probably be skewed because it's the summer quarter, and you're getting more tourism and things like that right now. But you can look at probably the past and say, look, we get 80% of our tax base through these 6 months, so that you know that how the numbers will lay out for the winter time. So I'm sure we can kind of get at least a rough estimate from that. And then with that, I found if these companies want our money, then they shouldn't be having to charge us, in my opinion.
What I like about these guys is they're not selling us anything. They don't sell lots or anything like that.
Okay.
They just say, all right, we're getting this much. And again, I'll just get the scopes. And if we don't like it,
I
and
mean,
then we can
same
even
as
show it
Jamie
to
did
Greg,
with
we
what
can
we
show it to
already
Greg too.
Right.
See what he thinks, you know, just that.
I'd be afraid of getting the same information we already have. Charged for it.
Yeah, we don't have to do anything. We'll just get the 3. Tell us what you can do for us, and then we'll decide if we want to do it.
I definitely think it's a great idea if we can, looking at Craig's model, if we were paying off early, saving that interest, things like that, and doing, 25 cents instead of 75 cents or whatever, so that's a portion, so you know you can always pay it back early with what you have coming in if you get in trouble, just little things like that. Just the way that I look at it is, I don't want us to dig a hole, and so we can dig ourselves out of the hole with the other 50% or 50 cent. If we did a 25 cent type of thing, if that makes sense. And then
People are gonna want to see something done.
Absolutely, and I,
We need to do some high
we,
profile.
we as a
stuff.
council want that, we
Yeah.
want, and we wanna get a bang for our buck right now, and I think that the streets is number one to do it with. I think that we can hammer that out, we get some really cool park stuff going on and do well. But I don't wanna spend $10 million on streets, and $3 million of that goes to someone's bank account.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Am I right?
You're right.
You're the
Yeah.
money, you're the guru.
Money for all that paper.
I do think that it would be a good idea when this money starts rolling in to get Derek what he would need to do large patches. You know, with hot tar stuff. What do you think? I mean, is that something that I know we've talked about interest in it in the past.
Yeah, we
But-
still have interest to do it. I think we're, with the staff we have now, we're building our way towards being able to do that.
I know it's gonna take some time, and to do it right, it takes some learning.
Yeah, buy some equipment, that would
Yep.
Mhm.
give these guys.
But you have to have the right staff to do it, because they'll ruin that stuff in one day.
If they don't.
If they don't do it right, if they don't maintain it right. So it's not easy. It's not as easy as it looks. Been there and done that.
In asphalt.
So if it's something that you're interested in, I think that, you know, I don't want people to think we're gonna be doing piecemeal everywhere. I mean, I got bitched at for the great patches that you did, because they're like, that's what our money is spent on,
Right.
you know, and so I'm like, Jesus Christ, he's doing it, you know, great patches work to test it and learn how to do it and you know, whatever, but so I don't want people to think that either. But it would be a good thing for you on some of these streets to be able to.
We
do that.
definitely should be moving towards having a more of a permanent patching set for hot mix and all that.
Because cold patch does not work.
No,
We know that.
it's a temporary patch.
Mhm.
We are.
Especially when I watch the guys stamp it with their foot and drive off. So, you started on how,
Maybe the short run is to get some equipment, and get our guys doing some stuff. Yeah, just so.
well,
people can see that.
that's a cheap portion right
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
But at least we could still, over that 3 months, as the money comes in, we buy a little bit of that kind of thing, start his process. But then we see what a quarterly does, and that will help us with the
Yeah.
bonding.
And we're getting scopes.
Hey guys, really quickly. Sorry to interrupt you, but this is just the city manager report. We're diving a little too much into the details for the Brown Act. Since this is an agendized item.
It is, this is part of his report, was the streets and our money.
Well, anyway, we'll come back. We'll make this a regular item. We'll just, that way we can talk more about it. It won't be-
Sorry to cut you off, Evan.
No, you're right. We'll justify it, you're right.
Thanks for keeping us honest.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, anything else from the city manager's office?
That is it. Thank you.
All right. We'll go into future agenda items. We have,
The dog park, making it,
ADA.
yeah,
yes,
because I think we should do that.
Yeah, I know, we are, and I know it's taking forever, so I appreciate your patience. I just talked to Hector about it this week. So,
it's something that he told me he had brought it up. Already pushing it forward, but it was the weather stops it and everything else, and so.
Oh, for sure, we're right.
Oh,
I
man,
think there's a plan, we just have to execute it.
awesome.
For the item you were just discussing, do you want that to go on to future agenda item?
Yes, please.
Is that just a scope of service to analyze bonds, or do you want to title something else?
I would just title it, Measure DD funds, so that it's very general, we can,
Or do you use the, yeah.
use of funds.
Perfect.
Anything else need to put on here? Just real quick, I don't think there was anything.
Oh, we did want to clarify, really quickly, we were looking back through our notes in the video and we weren't totally sure. The, cannabis and, what was the other one, Susie, that we took off of the previous agendas, those reports? Wanted to clarify if you wanted those to come back here at all, or if it's just something that should be part of, the director's report going forward. I don't know, Susie, if you want to shed light, those were your items prior that we took off.
The lorries, cannabis, we pulled them off for a reason, there's no reason to have money, we have the cannabis tax coming to our normal agenda to discuss, right?
We're gonna have
We're gonna
a,
have it here or there,
an ad hoc meeting here, April 17th.
That's right.
That's what the cannabis businesses.
Mhm.
And the water use, we're getting it right here from Susie with her report. It's already on it, so I don't think there's any reason to do that one.
Okay, perfect. We weren't sure. We looked at our notes and we were like, we wanted to clarify with you.
What about the VRBOs? Is that something we have to bring back here again?
We were gonna bring that to planning commission.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And then, striping, is that something we have to bring back here, or is it something we're moving forward with right now?
Street striping?
Just kind of plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
We talked about thermoplastic versus paint today. We're gonna try to get some paint.
Perfect. And nothing else that I see that needs to be on this one. Okay. Oh, yes, it did. Sorry, just passed it. A second. There was talk about a CEQA, money for a CEQA grant for the CAL FIRE grant that Chief Jenkins brought up to you and I. Do you remember this conversation?
Yes.
Is that something we bring here, or?
Yeah, we can.
If you speak to him at some point, we need to bring here, or not. Let's see what we can do on that.
Was that for Gage anyway?
Yeah, there's a big grant being offered right now, and it's gonna cost like 15 to 20 grand to hire somebody to help us through it, but they have first lined up. They said, dude, we'll get you millions for this 15 to 20 grand,
That's worth it.
right? So if there's any truth to this, let's jump on it.
I'll tell you.
That is all I have. Anyone else have any other?
Question, I don't know if it really fits in or not, but, we could discuss like at the next meeting in regards to water usage, getting some of that dye, and we could announce at a city council meeting where people put dye in their toilet tank to see how they're, if the dye comes through, yeah. Cause maybe we could carry the dye here where people could just come in and.
We've given those out.
Yeah, we've given them out.
Do we-
Wastewater
I
plant. Can get those.
Is
Yeah,
that something you would rather have an announcement made at the city council
Yeah.
meeting instead of here?
Yeah.
That way it gets more publicity.
Yeah.
And then we
can
could
put it on
also,
the- Mike can do it.
he can do it online as well, right? Yeah. And then you can announce it.
sure.
If it's in the next few weeks, we could say probably. At this point, maybe, is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Like in 2 weeks or something.
Do we already have those, a surplus supply of those?
I'll check with the wastewater
might
plant,
have
see,
them already.
they have some, but I don't know if they have surplus readily available for amount to give out to the public.
Okay. Is
Yeah,
this,
once we know, I can definitely publicize it.
is this something we can get? Because I mean, to make the, I'd like to have Councilmember able to make an announcement tomorrow and say, June 1, we're able to get these out or something
We'll
like that.
find out.
I think the
Yeah.
water company,
The wastewater has,
We'll let you know before the meeting tomorrow, our timing.
yeah,
So then we
I'll
can
see if
figure
I
out
can
some
try to
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then you can handle that one in your comments, then that'd be perfect.
yes.
Awesome. Any other future agenda items? Seeing none, meeting adjourned at 2:47.
Thanks.
That was awesome.
Yeah.